Welcome back, everyone, to episode 21 of Show and Tell. This is just my small adventure into highlighting the different creators and contributors to the Magic the Gathering community. Today promises to be a fun one as I'm joined by Magic streamer, Dungeon and Dragoneer, fellow photographer, B, also known as Brujaja Gaming. Thank you so much for joining me to be. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited.
Me too. Gosh, all right, so many fun things to talk about. And I usually find the best place to start tends to be at the beginning. So let's talk about what you when you started playing Magic. Like when you start playing and what kind of got introduced you to the game.
Funny enough, I actually only started playing in 2020 when the pandemic happened. A couple of I've been a gamer my whole life. Like the first game I was obsessed with, if anybody remembers this throwback, was Zoom Beanies on Windows 95. It was like a kid's like educational game, and then came like Carmen Sandiego, and then The Sims, and before you know that, I'm arguing with nerds in World of Warcraft. Like, but over the pandemic, I started dating, like right in the beginning, I started dating this guy who was very, very into anime and very, very into Magic. But I don't really watch a lot of anime, and the anime he was into was extremely horny. And that, honestly, that's the reason I have a hard time finding. I've had a hard time. Found them now, but I had a hard time at first, like figuring it out because I know, put the titties away. Now I want to see. But he was like super into those animes, and I wasn't enjoying them, so I wanted us to be able to still do something together as a shared activity. My friends have been trying to get me into Magic for a decade, so I was like, finally, fine, I'll do it. Immediately addicted. Within a year, I was streaming Arena.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
All right. So did he? Okay, that's a lot to take in. Right.
Sorry.
Okay. So no, it's funny. I joke because I'm a little older. I'm a millennial. I actually joke I'm a millennial. But yeah, for me, anime for me is still in my head, like Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z and. Yeah, that's like for me. But
for me, Sailor Moon's probably one of the most important shows I've ever seen. I have a Chibi Moon tattoo on my arm. Cool. Like, so for me, like stuff like Sailor Moon or Studio Ghibli was always kind of like, that's all I want. That's what I want.
Yeah. Well, I remember
if I wanted to get sexually harassed, I'd just walk outside.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That is not a good thing. Let's no sexual harassment, please. That is
no bueno.
No bueno. But I can remember Sailor Moon coming to Toonami way back when like that was kind of before they even got like Dragon Ball Z and everything. I remember watching that like, oh yeah, this is probably not a traditional show like someone oh Sailor Moon, like it was cool. Like I enjoyed watching it. I remember when I don't even know because there's like a bunch of different series, right? There's like Sailor Moon S and Super S.
It was like every season was a different series the way that they did it, but I think just simply TV in Japan is released different, like it does in the UK. It's different.
Yeah, I think whatever first series they had on Toonami, who was the big bad? Queen Beryl? Is that?
Okay.
Okay, they had to get the crystals, and she had the moon wand at the thing, and then like the very last episode, it's like her with the something like that, and like they finally beat her, right? And then it ended. I remember I was like depressed for a few days because the show was over. I was like, oh man, like I really liked that show. That was.
And then
like,
it came back.
Then it came back, and then like they, a bunch of weird things. But
yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
Well, now they have one called Sailor Moon Crystal, which is apparently a lot more like the manga. I got through one season. I was hyperventilating, sobbing. It was amazing. Like it's both just like and absolutely nothing like the original. Mm-hmm. If you love the original or you read the manga, fucking watch it. Oh my god, watch it.
All right, that's
sorry.
Make a note, right? The crystal. No,
it's the new one. So it's like just started coming out in like 2019.
Gosh. All right. Just I'll make a note and check that out. So yeah, Sailor Moon is great. So Magic, you started to play. Did you start playing like Commander? What was your first like format?
So the first format, I played Arena first because I'm such a visual person. It made it very, very easy for me to keep track of. Because it highlighted every step. Because like Magic's not the easiest game to learn, especially when you're like me. You have ADHD and autism. Being able to keep track of what someone's saying without like written instructions or visual aids can be very, very difficult. So Arena was a great way for me to adapt and start to understand just simply how the mechanics of the game function to begin with before I could really expand. And I just started playing Standard. I just went nuts in standard. And when I started, the set that had just come out was the most recent Zendikar set.
Okay. That's very cool. Yeah, I find, you know what, I've been playing for a long time, since probably the Urzus, like late 90s, early 2000s. But like I didn't really learn how to play till college. My friend taught me how the stack worked. And playing Arena, I think for new players, is like an amazing visual way to learn, like to see the stack in action, just like the last in first out thing, like especially when it comes to things like triggered abilities or
and replacement abilities. And
all that
everything.
kind of stuff, because they put all the cards up, like, I think it's a very good way to like conceptualize that sort of thing, because playing in paper can get messy. And there's just a lot going on. Especially, and starting in standard versus something like Commander. I know a lot of people say don't start with Commander because it's very confusing, which I don't necessarily agree with. But standard being such a
now, granted, on paper I started with Commander. Once I started actually playing paper games, it was Commander, and that's really just because that's who I was around, and I like kind of play with other people's decks. And then I had made a tweet about really wanting to play some paper Commander games.
Yeah.
And then Dana Roach from EDH Rec messaged me and was like,
"Oh,
you want to be on stream?" And I was like, "Sure." I did not own a deck. I had never built one. I didn't know what I was doing. I immediately went to my closest LGS with one of my friends, and I was like, "Train me." And I built one of my favorite decks that I still have, Sir Conrad the Grim.
Oh, okay. So it's a good
group choke. It's like group hug, but around the neck. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, it's like those,
Yeah, no, it's a disgusting deck, and I've only made it more like now. That's the deck. If like somebody at the table is legitimately pissing everybody off, but you can't really change pods,
that deck comes out.
Like, stop it.
Stop it. Stop it. All right.
Stop it. Now there's a mind crank on the board. Look what you did.
Oh gosh. That's funny. Yeah, I think the big argument for not starting with Commander for a lot of time was the complexity, but we've kind of hit this weird point where there's just so many cards and there's so much out there. Even people who are pretty ingrained into the game are not going to know what everything kind of does. Yeah. So you're kind of just like just jump in and just make yourself available.
There's like 30,000 plus cards.
Yeah, it's
so many options to not win with the Thoracle combo.
Yeah, that's a spicy.
Meanwhile, the only CEHD game I've ever played, I won with a Thoracle combo. Hair flip. Sorry.
Hair flip. That's funny. Well, don't you know you're not supposed to try to win outside of CDH? Isn't that how that goes?
I mean, like, I try. I'm not good at it.
I don't make good decks. I have like a bunch of decks, but none of them are good. They all do weird things, and they kind of. I start playing, and everyone talks about like, you don't need to run that much interaction, blah, blah. So I make my decks. All of a sudden, people are doing all this stuff, and I'm like, here's my third land. And it's like, all right, here's my 1/1 token, human token for my soldier deck, and we're gonna.
Yep. I have my most played and my most, I guess, what I'm known for deck is a food token deck.
Okay.
With Gaio Master Chef.
Oh yeah, I saw that. The food.
I just did an interview about that deck.
That's funny. You probably got some nice upgrades with the Lord of the Rings stuff.
I did. Actually, somebody sent me the pre-con also, and I kind of don't even want to take it apart, but I definitely, I pulled a Mirkwood Bats, and I was like, sir.
That food pre-con deck, I was on Reversal Wizard's stream, and I was playing one of my poorly designed decks of mine, and he just played the pre-con, and he just destroyed all of us. All of a sudden, he had Treebeard, and I don't know. He just killed us all very quickly. It was very disappointing.
Hermione, don't you start. Don't you start. Sorry. My cat likes to pull down my studio if I haven't fed her when she wants to be fed.
I could hear meowing in the background. I was like, I'm pretty sure there's a cat rocking.
Yeah.
We're a pro pet podcast, so if they want to jump on there, more than welcome to join us. I don't know how cats are weird. Certain dogs sometimes are like, cats. Sometimes cats.
She's a disaster. I don't know. Yeah. She'll hate it, but it will also be funny. So if I can grab her.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so you started streaming. You got pulled onto a stream. And now you stream yourself, right? Do you host streams? Is that kind of
so I stream late night arena now. I used to stream during the day. I just switched because turns out I'm not great for daytime television with the amount of cursing that comes out of my mouth. Who knew? But I started trying to figure out EDH streams that I could host. And at one point, it was once a week, and they were just kind of random pickup games, but that didn't really seem to be working. So I was trying to figure out something that worked. And then I came up with a very silly idea. It's always through like a tweet that I'm half kidding, and then God forbid just one person is like, I'd watch that. My God, yeah, now it's a series. So I came up with an idea to do a 4-person pod, but we're all playing the same commander. Okay. But the commander was Turgid, God of Frey.
Well,
so it was like me, Eliana, Defiant Cather, Goddess of Blunder, Amara, and I, for the life of me, cannot remember the other person. But we played, and it was a 3.5-hour game. It was the most technical, involved game I have ever played, and honestly, it was so fun. Everybody thought it was going to be a shit show. It was the reason I purchased my first box of Infinite tokens. Shout out to Megan.
Oh yeah.
But it was insane. So I was like, we're doing this every month. That's it. And now almost every month since, I had to take a break because I had long COVID, but pretty much every month since, I have hosted some sort of pod. It is now called the Salt Factory series. This month I have 2 Chatterfang pods. The first one's this Friday.
All right.
Kill me.
That's a pretty clever idea too, because you get to see, when you take out the element of like different commanders, right? So it's the same commander. Then it becomes like, how does you build the deck, right? Do you build it? Something like Tyrgrid, you could build like, there's probably the very straightforward way to build Tyrgrid that makes sense with discard and this and that. But then it's like, oh well, what if someone builds it a different way that takes advantage of it?
Yeah,
or someone just
and one person did, and Goddess of Blunder wiped the floor with our asses with their very specific build. It was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. We'll have to find. Is that so? Are those videos up on your Twitch or YouTube or anything like that?
On my YouTube right now, I have up. I have the Turgid pod.
Okay.
I also have a Yuriko pod up that we did. I very sadly lost my Cranko footage.
Oh no.
I'm trying to think if anything else is posted. I don't think it is. I'm still in the process currently of doing my Adeline Resplendent Cather video. And then I still need to also edit Marwyn from last month, the Nurturer.
Oh, wow. Okay. Very cool. I'll definitely link. I'll link your YouTube and everything regardless. But maybe I'll
it's very small. Please give me follows. I want to grow it.
If any of the small amount of people follow me want to follow B, please join. It's good times all around. So, well, that's cool. I mean, that sounds like a pretty fun time. I mean,
it's really fun. It's so fun, and I only pick commanders that actually give me anxiety to play against.
Yeah, I mean that's a way to do it too.
Right?
Because like, where's the fun in if it's like not anxiety inducing? It's not magic if you're not freaking out.
Right? What's even the point if you're not having a panic attack? It's not even magic.
Wow. And it's obviously I've seen pods where they have kind of like themes or restrictions, but the same commander for a 4-person pod is actually pretty interesting. Again, kind of how we just talked about, interesting way to approach it, because of just the different ways you can build your deck or kind of focus your thing. So
and I love seeing the variation in how people interpret the commander and how they put themselves into the deck. Like there's always the like classic pieces that are in there. But then there's always some sort of way that you're like, and there's my friend.
Definitely. Well, what was it like going from being on a stream to now hosting your own streams, like becoming, because as someone who's only been on streams and who has no intention of hosting streams, I can imagine like being the stream host has a lot more kind of involved with like what's like when you what's that like in terms of like when you approach it or when you first thought like I'm gonna start hosting my own streams, like what was kind of the motivation for that?
Part of it was I did legitimately enjoy playing on other people's streams, and then part of it was selfishly motivated because I don't get to pay paper.
Oh. Yeah. Well,
so if I could trick my friends into playing with me, no, I'm kidding. So just the combination of them both, and like seeing that other creators were doing it and it was doing well, I'm like, where can I find kind of my niche and my voice within this structure? You know, what kind of content can I push forward that is true to myself but also works for this format? And the Salt Factory took off. I have a schedule until January. I made it in March. It filled up by April. I've had to add pods, and they are also all full. I have to have secret pods for people I want to recruit at this point because it's a public sign-up sheet for creators I've sent the link to, so God forbid they check it.
Yeah. Secret pods, yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because, I mean, I don't know if people haven't been able to tell already in this past that you definitely have a very bombastic voice. So you definitely have a voice. So it's it's good. It's like you strike me as someone who wants to create stuff, you know, and being able to find, and as someone who can relate to like wanting to create but struggling to figure out what they want to create. Yeah. Like being able to find something that A, interests you, B, is interesting for other, you know, for people who actually want to watch, and C, is fun. Like you know, you talk about, you don't, you know, it wasn't for me until recently. I don't have anyone to play Paper Magic with. For the most part, I bought some friends those $20 Dominaria starter commander decks for Christmas. So they've recently kind of been like, "Hey, Drew, do you want to play some Commander tonight?" I'm like, yes, heck yes, please. Like because I don't really have like a prey group, and it's been really fun because it's been like no sleeves on a table, just riffle shot. You know, it's
the most
like,
kitchen table possible.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the old way.
Although last kitchen table game I played, my roommate is dating this wonderful guy, and we love him to death, and he is a sweetheart, but he showed up with an Dragon deck in a rubber band inside of a beer koozie, the OG original printing Dragon, unsleeved. I almost screamed. I'm like, bro, I know you don't care about the cardboard, but could you please sleeve the goddamn Dragon? And then I showed him how much it was worth, and he was like, oh.
Yeah, that's
bro.
I'm trying to find my friends. You know, growing up, I had friends who played, and a lot of them, as they've, you know, gone their ways with their lives and become adults and whatever, they've kind of gifted me their old cards. And I have a friend who had a Sliver Queen. I know it's he gave me all those cards and it's not in there. But every day I go back and I look sometimes like, I know you had a Sliver Queen. Where
you have one. Why did you lie?
Yeah, but yeah, I can understand. You know, being able to like mesh all of those desires into one sort of thing that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. And I'm glad to hear it's doing well. I mean, that's the hardest part too. I think a lot of these times with creating stuff is like, is anyone gonna want to?
Yeah.
Is anyone? You know what I mean?
I think that's why it was so good that it happened organically. That I just kind of randomly came up with the idea because I thought it was hilarious, and then enough people were like, "I'd actually watch that." That I tried it, and then the creators I worked with loved it. They were like, "If you would do this again, please invite me back." Guess we're doing it again. So, and here we are.
Yeah, and you know, it's a testament to I imagine you steering the show is you seem like you'd be a blast to play with. I mean, just
thank you. I'm ridiculous. I'm the exact same way as I am now. If I'm not getting lands, there's a dance about it.
Yeah, that's not getting lands. I can relate to that. So, do you still so you stream that? Do you still stream Arena at all? You said you moved to the night. Is it just okay? Are you doing mostly standard? Like what formats are you playing on Arena these days?
I've been playing mostly Historic Brawl because it's the closest to Commander, and it's just silly to like sit there because it's always ridiculous decks. If I'm actually going for a day where I want to win and get some in like competitive game plan, I go right to Standard to my little mono black deck with 4 Phyrexian Obliterators.
I love that card. I love that card so much.
I'm obsessed. He is my boy. He is my child.
Yeah.
My son.
I play a mono black deck in Historic. That's I guess it'd be considered mono black Devotion, which is like Obliterators and Gary. What is it? Gray Merchant.
Yeah,
whatever,
Gray Merchant of Apostle.
So, yeah,
my boy.
So, I do like Historic Brawl a lot, though. I tend to bounce between. I play Kinnan a lot, so I get thrown in the hell queue, which recently has been even more hellish because I just get mashed up against a bunch of Ragavans.
Oh
which
God!
Is kind of one of those like, not one to complain about a particular commander, but there's certain commanders that I don't think are balanced for 1v1.
He's on the schedule for next year.
Ooh,
We're doing Ragavan.
Yeah.
I gotta call Veggie Wagon. I gotta contact Veggie. I'm literally gonna contact him and be like, bro, I'm not doing this pod without you. What month are you free? That's what I did with. I'm gonna do slivers. So there is a creator, MTG Cranium, on TikTok who is just the sliver guy. That is his content. That's what he does.
Oh yeah.
And I contacted him. I'm like, bro, Chacho, when are you free and who's the commander? Because I don't know slivers. No.
Might be the queen.
He did Hive Lord. He said Hive Lord.
Hive Lord. Yeah.
There's
a bunch now. There's a bunch. I mean, they had the precon just came out too, which too much chagrin. I don't know. I guess it was fairly well.
The sliver people were happy.
I think they were mostly happy. Yeah.
They got more slivers.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They did get more slivers, which is when you're a sliver player, that's all you
for
really
the Hive.
But yeah, for the Hive. Yeah, Cranium's great. I like his content a lot.
He's the best. He's a sweetie.
A lot of good Magic creators on TikTok. I think there's it's interesting as someone who kind of bounces between TikTok and Twitter a little bit. Is like there'll be someone on TikTok that just has no presence on Twitter, or kind of like vice versa. Just because sometimes you just play in the arena that you play in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of very good TikTok creators over there. Magic creators on TikTok.
I become friends with a few of them. I'm lucky to say. Like, there's MTG Cranium, but there's also like Dino Dez, who's going to be in my Gishath pod next month that I'm very excited about. Maltown was in my Yuriko pod. He's going to be in a Niv Mizzet pod I'm planning for later in the year. Doggo, cool. Mr. Doggo dude and I have become really good friends. He just joined my D&D campaign. Like, it's been a good time from the TikTok creators, and then some of just like the Twitch partners that barely have a social media presence at all, like Hamhawks. Man, has hundreds of viewers every single day. He has no social media followers.
I love he actually he's usually my first usually in the morning when I'm working, I just throw on Twitch as like a background noise.
He's morning cartoons.
Yep, I throw him on, and he does awesome Fight Me Fridays. Like, he's super entertaining.
He is the best.
Very great, good to watch too. Very good at kind of explaining his. So
I started as a joke, carrying around different counterspell cards in my wallet, so I could throw them at people when they said like something I just didn't care, but as a joke or like a mild inconvenience. So I made a tweet after now leaning in and committing to this, that if anybody could send me an encounter spell, that would be great. And he goes, I have a lot of cancels. I was like, please let me cancel people, Ham. Please let me cancel people. He sent me like 8 cancels, so now I can cancel people. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
shout out to Hammy.
Yeah, he's definitely worth checking out if you're looking for some new creators to watch on Twitch. So, but so you mentioned Mr. Doggo has joined your D&D campaign.
Yes.
D&D campaign. So let's talk about Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
So, what got you started with Dungeons and Dragons? How long have you been participating in that world?
I'm originally from New York. I'm from Long Island. And I had a lot of very nerdy friends there. And then we all started moving away. Someone went to Binghamton. I came to Philly. We just kind of dispersed. But my friend, Overwing, he goes by. He's always in my chats. Decided to do an online D&D game. So this was long before COVID, and in the oldest iterations of Roll20, and we just started playing. This had to be like 5 or 6 years ago, and the first campaign we played lasted 3.5 years, and I was so obsessed with it. I was so into it, and then we played like another 2-year campaign, and so now we're in another one. And it's been like the same group the whole time, with like maybe 1 or 2 people dropping in or out.
Yeah.
But what I really loved is that I was still able to see and hang out with my friends and have legitimate good times with them without having to worry about where I'm physically getting and where I'm from. Because about 10 years ago, I got extremely sick. I almost died. So I'm now technically disabled from that. So it could just be very difficult for me to get around. I get migraines very easily. I could get seizures. It's not to brag, but like, it's not the best time. So being able to just like be home and play would not feel detached from my friends was great. So when I started being a creator, I have creator friends, and I had friends at home. So before I started streaming my D&D games, I created a D&D game online for my friends that were dispersed all over New York and Philly, and we started playing. But my friends also have very big personalities, so I asked them at one point, I'm like, would you be cool with me streaming this? They're like, all right. So, and then I started a second campaign, strictly 2 streams. So now I alternate. I do D&D every Thursday, but it's between 2 campaigns. Both are horror campaigns, and I'm insane, so they're both original worlds and original stories.
Oh wow! So do you DM both of these campaigns?
Yep.
Oh wow! So
I also DM a 3rd campaign in person for my boyfriend and his friends, but that's at least a module. I am, however, now starting to do. I'm writing some one-shots to do every month with other creators because I did one in honor of the Barbie movie.
Oh, okay. I just saw that Barbie movie a few days ago. It was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen it yet.
Oh. It's very good. I highly recommend.
I did it. It was called Bardo's Wonderland, so, Mattel won't sue me. But I had, like, Yoggoth, I had Ham Hocks, I had Katie Karlov, and I had Kuro Hitsuki, all as different Ken and Barbie-esque toys. Yeah. Very funny. Very funny. So...
That's great.
Yeah, I'm excited to get more D&D work in. Just because as a kid, I was always a storyteller. I loved to write short stories and poems. I used to, like, win awards in high school for my writing. Oh, now wow. I can barely spell conscience. So like writing is kind of second nature. Being creative is second nature. I did like student films. I did broadcast work after college. I worked for a broadcast, online broadcast company. I was a producer for a trading card app, and it was my job to come up with card sets for this app.
Oh wow!
So I have like
That's
a
impressive.
weirdly niche amount of experiences that kind of set me up to be a creator, I feel like. Plus, like, years of running gaming events and just, like... so much, sorry.
No, that's awesome. Wow, that's just... Yeah, it's funny because, like, a lot of times you amass all these really weird, like, jobs and skills and talents, and then you kind of find some way to, like, mash them all together and do something, and it seems like you found a good mix of things to kind of keep you entertained and fun and to make, to create stuff. Okay, gosh, almost to go over there. So you have 2 current original campaigns that you're currly running. Mm-hmm. Are they both horror themed, I think you said?
Yep.
So so I as someone who likes storytelling, I think I like to break this stuff down. So I play D&D with some friends, and to your point, like, it's really like getting together with my friends and, like, hanging out and drinking some beers and joking around. We're playing the game, but it's really the hanging out stuff that really makes it enjoyable.
Yeah.
So, like, I definitely can understand the joy of, like, I think that's really what the essence of Dungeons and Dragons is hanging out with your friends.
Yeah.
So what makes it like a horror campaign versus just like a traditional high fantasy campaign, just for my own edification? So
one of the campaigns is called the Halfling Queen, and it is literally like World War II, but in D&D world. So there is a evil necromancer who took over the kingdom and killed the king, and then he did a genocide against the halflings. And now there's no halflings. So, like, but it's all necromancers, zombies, vampires, just every undead thing you could imagine. They were recently possessed and had to fight their cleric, which was horrifying because the man has an AC of 22.
Oh, wow.
But it's a lot of stuff like that. Like, on more than one occasion, I've given them such bad anxiety with their experiences, I've just let them level because I felt like they needed therapy. Like, once I had, and this I like to do, this is a screwed up thing I do. I ask my players sometimes what their character's biggest fears are. And I make sure to exact each and every one of those things at some point. The worst one that I did to my players, I thought one of them was going to cry from anxiety, but, like, it was fun. I had a wizard cast a spell, and each of them went into their own hallucinations with their biggest fear. And the only way out of the hallucination was to defeat their fear. So I had asked everybody what it was, and one of them was being caught, like, in a very, like, a closet with beetles, just covered in beetles. He couldn't handle beetles.
Yeah.
Right? Creepy. The other one was he has a little mouse companion named Cheddar. His biggest fear was losing Cheddar dying in front of him somehow. And then the third guy's biggest fear was his family dying. At least for the third guy, I didn't actually kill his family in front of him. I promise it was better than that. They were already zombies. He just had to kill them all again.
Oh, that's all.
No
That's,
big deal. No big deal.
You're a generous DM, but that's,
Yeah. And then, of course, when they got out of the hallucination, they could see the other party members in their hallucination fighting, but nobody knew what each other was fighting.
Yeah.
Okay. That gave everybody anxiety. The other one is a far less traditional D&D setting. It's like loosely D&D at this point. I removed all town structures completely. It's modern day, but as if there were a zombie apocalypse. Takes place in Baltimore.
Oh.
I asked my friends from Baltimore, I'm like, is it accurate if I say that this is easy to picture in an apocalypse? Like, I could have done it in Philly. I could also do it on Long Island. But I want to do Baltimore. It's new for me. Anyway.
Baltimore gets a bad rap. I've been to Baltimore a few times.
I love Baltimore.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. There might be some bad murder statistics around Baltimore, but like the city itself is fine. It's,
just like, don't go there if you're like a bitch.
it's a golden rule.
It's a good place. It's like the outer boroughs of New York. Just don't go there if you're a bitch. Because you won't know what to be scared of and what to fucking relax around. But yeah, so it takes place in Baltimore, and because I removed all the basic structures, there's no towns. There's no shops. There's nowhere to go shopping. There's no job board. It's literally survive. So they had to set up like a little settlement at a mall that they started at. And they got other people and planted gardens, and they were like farming and everything, which was nice. But now they need to go to a new location on a different mission. So they're like trying to figure out how to survive along the way without trading posts or towns or anything. So, I mean, they will eventually reach locations where they can go do these things, but it's going to be like, think of like Fallout, where you're going to travel through a lot of desert before you find the California Republic. Like,
that's clever. It's an interesting way to approach like playing. Just like here's a setting, you're just here, survive, and then you just throw different events at them. And that's pretty clever. I've never thought about it because I've played and I've ran different types of like D&D type games or whatever. But it's definitely an interesting way to approach it because you can just, it's such a unstructured way to play the game, I guess. Because normally as a dungeon master, you kind of, and you could probably speak more of this than I can. Like, typically you play D&D, it's like you have your plan, right? This is kind of how you want to get the party from A to B, and you kind of just hope they kind of figure it out. But just kind of throwing them in the middle of a situation and then just being like, okay, and then just...
They have to figure it out. They don't have a choice. There's nothing there. And I can't tell you how many times they've just looked at each other and been like, what do we do? And I'm like, I don't know. What do you do?
Yeah.
I have a philosophy when it comes to DMing is like, I wrote the story mode, but it's your gameplay. You want to spend the whole time? You want to spend 60 hours of content on side quests? Go nuts. Like, every once in a while I have to brute force them back into some facet of the storyline.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I think a lot of times that's, and that's probably really the role of the Dungeon Master is to just kind of let the players push the story, and you just kind of like, a little touch here, a little touch there. But I think, again, there are different people may want to play it different ways, but I think if you have a DM who's really just like ironclad on, you have to do this and do this and this, and there's no room for improvisation. Like, I find the improvisation part of the game the most interesting part for me. Like, what I play.
That, and I know a bunch of retired theater kids, so.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. You know what I mean. I have a wizard, but for me, I try to find the most ridiculous ways to solve problems.
Yes.
I have a warlock who's super powerful, whatever he does, billion damage, everything. I'm like, I have this decanter of endless water. I have an immovable rod. Like, what can I do in this situation with that instead of just shooting a fireball. Like for me, I find that's the most interesting part about playing, and really
I love
where
it.
and I think again, I would think as a DM, like seeing your players come up with ideas that you never thought of, like kind of gets you more engaged because oh, I didn't even think about that. Like, well, how would that work, and what do I want to happen there? So I think that's really where the
most
the magic of the
recently
game.
my favorite thing that happened was frickin' Mr. Doggo dude. He's in the more traditional setting horror campaign, so he's in the older one, but they burst through a wall. The wall was rotted, so a swarm of rats came out, which is a super easy enemy. You can kill it in like one blow. He's a barbarian. He would have had no problem.
Yeah.
But instead of just beating him with I wasn't even going to make him roll initiative. He rolled for animal handling.
Oh. Okay.
Rolled a nat 20. And then rolled... I don't know why I let him do this. He rolled for persuasion and convinced the rats to go away.
Oh.
I don't
Just
think
like
I've
that?
ever been so mad at something so stupid in a D&D. I'm like, why would you do that? What the hell is wrong? You wasted your 20 on that?
Hey,
That's really funny.
you never know when a 20 is going to come up. You gotta take them when they come. You know,
Yeah.
that's when the real magic happens. Is that 20 is anything that you're.
And it's never on something like an attack.
No, never something useful.
It's like, can I roll to pet the cat? You may roll to pet the cat. The other campaign right now, I'm very excited for their next fight, which I actually think it's this week. Their next session, their last session left, where they just found all of themselves in the basement. They found doppelgangers. So now they're about to fight their own stat block.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
And they're all level 7. And I can't wait to put the Blood Hunter in his damn place. It's okay. He's my roommate, so I love him. I'll go make fun of him to his face.
It's like, you didn't do the dishes last night. Guess what?
He's also like, he's one of my best friends. I live with my best friends, so I call them my platonic partners. Like, he's my platonic husband, his wife's my platonic wife. So I'll like yell at him like, I'm your husband ever.
Oh goodness.
It's the whole house. We're very silly like that.
That's good. I mean, silly houses are the best. I mean, as long as you're enjoying yourself and getting
And they're
along,
nerds. He plays magic too.
Oh yeah.
Got him hooked.
Just starts. All it takes is one person. And you
Yo.
just start.
I was like, hey Matt, have you heard of Arena? Nudge, nudge.
It's free to play. You just download it and you don't have to. You know.
I can't even. I should be getting like some sort of kickback with the amount of. It's like I'm pushing crack. I'm like, get addicted so we can be friends. Meanwhile, I refuse to let my partner play because I love him too much to let him play this game.
Oh, yeah. It's like, no, it's like I'm doing us a favor. You don't.
Baby,
don't do
one
it.
of us is broke. One of us. Keep it that way.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. So okay, outside of DMing, do you ever get to jump in? Do you ever get to be a player in any of these campaigns? Have you ever? Is that something, or do you like DMing too much?
I like throwing in NPCs that I kind of play. For the more modern campaign, there was a bajillion NPCs, but part of that was an effort to build a community for them to be able to leave that was well established and well defended. So I had a lot of very kind of high-powered NPCs that I wouldn't let go on all the trips, so they wouldn't be like, one of them had like a plus 12 to hit at like level 5. Like they were strong.
Yeah.
Other than that, like, it's usually an NPC to help drive the story forward. Like, I need my group to get here. This NPC is the reason they're going to start down that journey. You know, that guy has a quest, which is going to play into the bigger story, but nobody knows how yet.
Gotcha. How? I think you said you had a lot of friends that were theater kids. How much like actual like role playing do you get into in these sessions? Because for me, when I play, when I create a character, I go all in. I'll do voices, accents, tastefully.
Within reason.
Within reason. But I think that, again, that's part of the fun is like kind of getting into the sort of character? Like, what are your groups like today? I guess it depends on the person. Like, what do you see?
My groups are so dorky, and I love them so much, and they get very, very into it. Mr. Doggo Dude's hilarious. Like, he has made it so his character does not know how doorknobs work. And he tries to kick in every single door. It's not going to be beneficial for the party all the time, but it is funny every damn time.
I mean, he's a barbarian, right? That's
he's
how
it makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes and
sense.
He's a naked barbarian because of fucking course he is. He told me he misinterpreted barbarians in the beginning, that he thought natural armor meant the more naked they were, the better their armor was.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, you know what? That's what it means now. Congratulations.
Makes sense.
Otherwise, I have one friend who's in both campaigns. And in one campaign, he plays a turtle druid who is just a stoner, who didn't even notice the apocalypse started because he grows his own weed and people kept buying it from him.
All right.
And he grows like vegetables on his roof. So what did he know? And then on the other campaign, he plays a guy that sounds like Shaggy, not the singer, the cartoon character.
The cartoon.
And then recently became a lycanthrope. So when he transforms, he now sounds like Scooby.
That's brilliant in so many ways.
It's so good.
That's very smart.
It's so good.
That may be. I may have to steal that idea.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant because he's such a dorky character. So for him to turn into like the dorkiest werewolf also made sense. Yeah, the guys are great. Their roleplay is hilarious. It is very, very good. Even the one shot I did, oh my god, they were great. So it's actually made me more comfortable getting into my own like setup when it comes to making voices for characters, because for whatever reason I have always felt very awkward about that. Like, I'm gonna make it weird. And then I remember who I am and I'm like, bitch, you've already made it weird.
That's the entrance fees. Weirdness is like, that's how you get in the door, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think as long as you just kind of own it, that's part of the fun. Is like,
it's gotten like, it's evolved so much, and like the more I'm falling in love with it more. Like, I feel like a lot of times you can get very frustrated with your own content, or it feels stagnant. And even though they're my most poorly watched streams, they're honestly some of my favorite streams of all time. Like, they're the ones I laugh the hardest at because my friends are fools in the best way.
Well, as long as you enjoy making them. I mean, sometimes I think a lot of creators, there's almost like a running joke where like you can spend hours and it could be on like, it can be your baby, and then it's like just, the performance is never going, and then you'll do like you'll put something out there and like, I don't know, I just did this on a 5 o'clock on a Thursday, and it's just like, oh, it's got a million views.
That's what happened with the Salt Factory. I'm like, this was a joke tweet, and now it's now the next 2 years is scheduled. Like,
it's funny how that kind of works, because you never really know what's going to pop off.
Yeah.
And like sometimes we wish things would pop off more than others, but having anything pop off at all is always nice, and that kind of gives you avenues to pursue other things that may interest you more, or allow people who may not have seen the stuff you're really interested in, like you have now an avenue kind of to shuttle them over, which is kind of nice. So now,
thankfully, I have TikTok, and I've gotten some good hits on TikTok, but my biggest viral video has over 630,000 views, and it is me reacting to a fucking Pokey Doctor Slowpoke diagnosis filter where you got a Pokemon and a random like breed from said Pokemon, and it landed on it, and it said once they started masking they couldn't stop, and I have goddamn autism, so that was very accurate, and my reaction was really dramatic, and now it has 630,000 views. I was like, may I offer you some magic content? Now, granted, if I reached autism TikTok, I reached magic TikTok, so I got a lot of followers from that. Hello, my friends, my people.
They found you. They've reached the promised land.
I honestly found more people with autism and more trans people than I've ever met in my life in the magic community than anywhere else I've ever been. It's been amazing.
Oh, really?
It's been amazing.
Well, that's kind of, I think it just speaks to like the importance of magic and gaming spaces in general. I like to talk a lot about community, and I think one of the big things a lot of people, at least that I've had on the show, and I kind of speak to, is like the importance of building community and making open and safe spaces for people to feel welcome to come and sit down and play these sort of games. So it's nice to see that. I mean, like for people, that Magic attracts, the sort of people like that. Hopefully, means they feel safe to kind of come into these spaces to sit and play.
Yeah.
Because they may not find it as much in the world, especially these days. It's a very, very scary place.
I can't tell you how many like LGSs I've gone to and sat down and not told anyone like my pronouns or my identity just because I don't know who's gonna be a dick. And the amount of times I knew I could not go back to an LGS.
Yeah. And it's,
very upsetting.
It is upsetting. It's like, it's not something in a gaming space that people should have to be worried or scared about.
Right?
It's just not.
Like, bro, it's cardboard. Why are you making it weird?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's them making it the problem. It's not, it's not you, it's not other trans people. It's like they're the ones that are the problem. And I think
and that's why I bring Conrad.
Yeah.
Sir Conrad will teach them a lesson. He's my husband.
He will. Conrad is the boss.
Daddy Conrad is actually the name of the deck is Daddy's Home.
Oh,
sorry.
That's funny. No, that's yeah.
I got wild names for decks sometimes. Like my Wilhelt deck is called Fuckboy Wilhelt. He was a fuckboy before he turned into a zombie and started simping for Gissa. It made sense.
Makes total sense. 100%. I with you in the weird names for deck names. Like they may not be as poignant as yours, but like very specific deck names I think really add just that last little flavor touch to when you're building a deck.
I like puns. My Sauron deck right now is called Sauronara.
It's a good one.
Couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah, it's a good one. Very good one.
Can't stop laughing.
Is that the 6 mana Sauron?
Yeah.
It's a good card.
The Dark Lord is whatever it is. I'm obsessed. Yeah. Somebody did MTG Lord of the Ring edits on Twitter, and they were putting a bunch of different creators and a bunch of different little things, and I don't think this person knew that I'm agender and I could have been anything, but he purposely photoshopped me in Galadriel's dress, but in a color that matched my hair, alongside that Sauron, and it was me and Sauron. I'm like, I'll take it.
That's
me and Sauron besties.
That's I believe it's Martin G edits or
something. I was so like flattered to have been included with those people. Like, I'm like, you did Ash Shizzle and you did my stupid ass? Are you kidding?
Yeah, he made me the Sauron the lidless eye. I was like, wow, like. I think he made my image one of the ones he made into like tokens to give away. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so important right now. I know. Maybe
that's so sweet.
Yeah, they do a lot of great work. They do it with pretty much every set release. They get a bunch of people. They're very interesting.
Like I the fact that I got even looked at, I was like, oh, you know who I am? I get very excited. I get very excited.
It's it's someone who's a very small creator. Anytime anyone just like, hey, you do that thing, or like, I was like, oh, it's like little old me.
Thank you. It's like I was at MC Philly and I was in my Tiny Bones cosplay, so nobody knew who I was.
Yeah.
Not that anybody would know who I was, but the people who did, they had no idea who I was. Because distinctive. And Karo Hitsuki came up to me and introduced himself, and I actually did not know who he was yet. Because I was still like trying to figure out who half the fucking creators were. And he was like, you're Brujaja Gaming? And I was like, last I checked, hi. Now we're buds, and I love him. I've been on his stream a couple of times. He was in my Barbie campaign. Like, he is the fucking coolest. He's going to be in one of my pods at the end of the year. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have like made these connections with people. Just, it's always flattering when any creator, big or small, knows who I am.
Yeah, no, it's it's a little like, what's the word I'm looking for? There's like a little bit of vindication, right? When someone like you, especially if you've created like a decent amount of content, to any sort of degree, and anyone just like, oh yeah, you're the whatever.
Like, I like your vibe. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
I have a vibe. It's like, I have a vibe.
What is it though? I mean, I'm glad you like it, but does that mean it's good? I don't know.
That's too funny. Goodness. Okay, so I had one other as someone who does sometimes manage different sort of campaigns. When your two original campaigns you worked on, how structured do you make your worlds? And when you kind of sit down to, I guess, plot out a campaign, do you plot out like the first 5 sessions, or do you kind of do one by one? What's kind of your process, I guess, when it comes to that kind of stuff?
Before I start the session, I make sure that the entire world is like built to a T. The full pantheon is worked out, even to alternates, like for gods that people in my campaigns can use, and they're also allowed to just look through any deity in the D&D world and ask about it. That's fine. I'm very free when it comes to character creation, with very few exceptions, and classes. So even though I write the story, I know exactly how I want it to conclude story-wise, and I know the checkpoints for the plots that they need to discover along the way. It's very, very loose. It's very unstructured. It's almost like in improv when you yes and.
Yeah.
I yes and my players. Now, I do warn them in advance that I will say yes, and I will also, there will be consequences.
Yeah.
So the bigger the ask, the bigger the consequence. Just keep that in mind. And no one takes me seriously. And then I curse them and make them have to kill something every day for a week and refuse to give them any encounters in that time.
Oh, wow.
They learned, but like stuff like that. So I try to do it one session at a time. I try to address exactly where they are, because I never know what's going to happen. Like last session I had for the meeting that we're doing this week, I had something completely different planned. And then last second, someone contacted me and was like, hey, I'd still be able to join your campaign if you need me to. And I'm like, rewriting the session. Done. You're in.
Wow.
So the session changed. The enemy changed. Everything changed. And I mean, those things are still going to happen because they're important for the plot. They're just going to happen at another session.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's almost like story Tetris. I have to move it around to be in the place it needs to be for when the players get there, kind of thing.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah, no, for sure. And that's part, again, I think that's part of the fun of being like the Dungeon Master, is like you have the roadmap, but maybe not necessarily forcing your players to get there the way you would expect them to or necessarily need them to. So
I don't want to force them to do anything. I've had DMs that don't leave room for interpretation.
Yeah.
The worst of which, I had a DM that literally kept saying, well, you have to do it. You have to do it. You have to do it. So the party split, and he immediately put the other half of the party into a boss fight and killed them.
Oh, that's...
And then we were like, what the hell? He goes, you shouldn't have split the party. I've never almost punched a DM in the face before that moment. We never played with him again. The whole group quit. We were like, nah.
Yeah,
no. You're a control freak. We're done.
No. The
game is controlling for you. That's your game.
Yeah.
We're not playing it.
Yeah, and that's not, there's weird power dynamic issues there. I think a good dungeon master should be more of a shepherd than a not shepherd. Maybe like that as a of overwhelming force.
Yeah, I don't love player versus DM dynamic. I think that's extremely problematic and toxic for the environment. If it's well-intentioned, like it can be with me in my group, I'm like, do it, watch what happens. It's always funny as hell, though.
Yes.
It's always meant to entertain. It's not meant to actually ruin the enjoyment for anyone,
Yeah, because if you're doing player versus DM, you're not playing the game, right? Because it's still a cooperative game. So you engage in Dungeons and Dragons by the players playing with the dungeon master in this world. When you kind of split it, now you're playing kind of two different games, really, which is I don't really think how it was intentioned to be designed.
No. No. Now, granted, we're playing two different games than the one I wrote and the one that's being played, but that's not the point. Players.
The
what
whole
can I say?
different thing. Yeah, it's like players.
Players, am I right?
Am I right? Too funny. So I also wanted to kind of pivot to some not fantasy cards or Dungeons Dragon talk, because we kind of have a comment. I know, right? I would be remiss if we didn't talk about one of our, I would say probably big shared hobbies, I have to say is photography.
Hell yeah!
I just recently saw a tweet that you put out that you were trained in photography. That's kind of like your
Yeah.
background. So talk to me about like what how long you've been doing photography. Did you go to school for it? What do you?
I did actually. So for my undergrad, I went for photography. That's what my undergrad degree is in. I started in 2006 in college, and that was that. I worked for like a year at a marketing company that worked with photographers. Like we basically got commercial photographers in front of ad agencies and crap. That was our job. Hated it. So I went back to school to be an art therapist.
Okay.
Which I loved. But then I got sick right before I finished my degree, and I was sadly never able to return. So I'm like, this close to a master's degree. Oh well. But
Can't relate.
and then after that, I kind of didn't really have a lot of opportunities to do photography. I moved a lot. I had a lot of issues from being sick. I lost a lot. So it just became like a process in trying to find where to be again. And so I moved to PA here in Philly. I was only here for a year, and then the pandemic hit. So I didn't really get a lot out of the city here because I wasn't able to take advantage of it yet. And then in the last year, my roommate started doing burlesque. So they're bringing me to a bunch of burlesque shows. I have now also started doing burlesque, and it has very happily given me more opportunity to be able to get behind the lens again. Not only am I going to like friends' band shows and stuff, but I'm now able to start connecting with people that I want to do portrait and boudoir photography with. So I'm headed to Magic Vegas. Very excited about. But I kind of put a call out there to let people know, specifically my trans babies know that I do boudoir, I do portrait, and I am cheap. I truly believe
you're not cheap. You're inexpensive.
I'm inexpensive.
You're inexpensive. You're
I'm
not
also
cheap, you're
tacky.
inexpensive.
No. So, as I fix my big ass hoops. But I believe that that kind of like seeing yourself as beautiful and being able to feel beautiful needs to be accessible. Not should be. It needs to be accessible for people. So I do like a super cheap rate, but I also work on like a barter. Like if you can't do the rate, fine. That's fine. Been there. Got it. Understood. We can barter. Have any cool magic cards you don't want? I'll take your bulk. I don't even care.
That's actually not a horrible way to, that's, sometimes you gotta.
Because you're helping me too. I need freaking cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
I sadly can't afford to buy at least 5 boxes of every set as much as I want to. Although, heaven help my bank account with Eldraine.
Oh yeah, I really like the first Eldraine set, and I just
this is my
big fan of knights, so that's gonna be.
This is my plane. We have a gingerbread knight. I'm sorry, I'm digressing. Sorry.
Oh no.
But yeah, so I do abstract photography that I like to do at band shows in like really low light, make it really really funky. I have some pictures of that up on my Instagram of my friend's band, which is nice.
Very cool.
I have the tiniest bit of portrait photography, but no one was really comfortable with me posting it because a lot of it's very personal photography. Yeah. So I was able to post one picture. I'm very happy about that. She looks beautiful. Her name's Mandy. But yeah, love photography. Miss doing it. Just getting back into it.
Yeah, that's super cool. I mean, so I'm almost a little jealous because I did not go to school for photography, but I started doing.
You didn't miss anything.
I went back and forth because I thought about it. I started doing photography in high school, and then I went to college, and I decided to just do a normal. I think I have a degree in political science and philosophy, which is doing me,
And here you are now.
I know, right? But I was on the newspaper staff. I went to UC Irvine, so I did a lot of photojournalism. I was the photo editor my last year there. So I got really into like the photojournalistic stuff.
Yeah.
And, I was like, which is cool because I really like shooting bands for
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So like being able to like get free passes to go to like concerts and see.
That's cool.
I have like pictures like Thrice and Rise Against and like 50 Cent that I got to go to because I.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. So and I thought about talking about getting a master. I was going to go to a photojournalism master's program in Boston, and then I looked at the starting salary of photojournalists, and I was like,
that's way more than the tuition. I mean, way less. Yeah, way less.
Yeah, and then now it's like, dude, newspapers like don't even really exist. So I made the right choice. did the wedding thing for a while, and I was just like, I don't,
I did that too. It was awful. That's actually part of the reason I departed from it, because it just wasn't for me. It wasn't working. No. I didn't enjoy it. Mine was always more artistic. Portrait was always my jam. I don't know what it is, but I love learning about people.
Yep.
And I don't know.
Yeah, it's weddings. Like, you can make money shooting weddings. That's probably the easiest way to make money. But it's stressful. It's long days. It's kind of boring for them. It gets repetitive.
And as a former wedding planner, no.
Yeah, it's nightmares.
Done.
Yeah. So,
the like biggest thing the bride and groom would be an asshole about was the photographers for some reason. Like, mad at them for doing their job. It's like, why did you hire them if you didn't want actual shots?
Yeah.
Why do we have to pose? Because that's how wedding photos work. Where have you been?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Man.
Here's an aside. The first wedding I ever shot, we went to do the portrait, the bridal party photos, and the groomsmen wouldn't come out to pose. They were at the bar and just refused to come out for photos. And it was me and like these two other guys, and we're just like, they're not gonna come out, and they're just like, nope. And we're just like, and the bride was just not happy. It was just that she was not happy.
Yeah, no.
It was not.
I would have lost my mind. Damn.
Yeah, that was.
Bravo for her for not going to jail.
Yeah, well, that's another story. But yeah, so like you, I eventually I do portrait work as well. I find it more interesting. I find it fun. Actually, two things, but we're gonna have to talk later because you mentioned MagicCon Vegas, which I'm gonna be at as well.
Yes.
So that'll be cool. I actually have a small thing I'm planning, and I think you would be perfect to maybe, if you're interested. I don't think it's any extra work outside of what you're probably going to be doing while you're there. So we'll talk after.
Hell yeah!
But I think it'd be kind of cool. But I think you'd be the perfect person to assist in that. So that'll be kind of fun. But yeah, photography, like to your point, portrait stuff, I think is with the magic world, it's kind of nice because when I go to cons now, I do cosplay photography, like portrait, which I think is kind of cool. And
I can't wait to be Tiny Bones with a camera.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to have a glowing orb of gems and a camera. Little knives on my back. Sorry.
Are you bringing Tiny Bones to Vegas?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, okay, cool.
I'm not doing the cosplay contest. It's not, like, polished. It's my first cosplay ever that I have ever made, so it looks busted. But I love it. I had this giant orb at MC Philly. I mean, like, huge, that my boyfriend made for me that was fully lit, 3D printed plastic gems. It's gorgeous, but it is way too big to bring to Vegas without shipping. Oh, yeah. So he's making me a mini orb that will fit on the plane in a carry-on.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm so excited. So, yeah, I'll be Tiny Bones again, running around Las Vegas.
You'll fit right in.
I can't wait to get on the tram.
You know what? You're gonna get it's gonna be like, oh yeah, this is Vegas. Like,
yeah,
you'll be there next to an Elmo and an Iron Man, and
right, and be like, who's going where? We don't know.
Yeah. So you might be walking down the strip, and somebody like, hey, can I get a photo with you? Like, here's a tip. Like,
sure. Right, actually, at Philly, there was another event going on. There was like a cheerleading championship for like middle school and high school girls, and at one point, I was walking through the convention center, and I was like fully done, and these two teenage boys, like younger teenage boys, stopped me and asked me if they could take a picture with me. And I'm thinking, oh, they like Tiny Bones and they're stuck at their like sister's event. They had no idea who the character was. They told me after the picture, they just thought you looked cool. I was like, fuck yeah. Thank you.
That is cool.
I'm like, all right, I look like a homeless little skeleton, but I'll take it.
That's, okay, so speaking of cheerleader championships, so I live in Anaheim, and I'm very close to the Anaheim Convention Center, and they have cheerleader championships every, I don't know, it feels like every few months, but whatever. But I was selling some magic cards to some guy who's, I guess, in town. It was like a Dark Confident and like in Snaring Bridge, and he's like, yeah, I'm at the convention center, like I'm outside, blah blah blah. I was like, okay, cool, I'll just walk down and like I'll sell you whatever. So like I'm walking down there. Didn't really think about it, but like I'm like a 34-year-old man walking by myself through the convention center where there's just like hundreds of like cheerleaders.
Oh no!
And I'm just like, I'm just meeting someone. I'm just selling these cars. I literally like found the guy. And I was like, okay, cool. And I just like turned and
Bye.
like, bye. Just like power walked out. Like,
I don't want to be here.
I felt so awkward. I was like, this is like.
Oh no.
Yeah,
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's
In,
funny.
in retrospect, I was like, I wish I didn't sell that Dark Confidant. I wish I had kept it now. But at the time.
Yeah, I mean, now you know.
Yeah, I know. It was the original one from Ravnica, too. Made me sad.
Ooh.
It's the one that was like the player card, so it looked like the whoever won the whatever thing you have to win to get a card that looks like you. It was that version. So, anyways, cool. Well, I look for so Vegas. Get to see you in Vegas. I'll definitely get to take a photo of you and Tiny Bones, which will be fun.
Yeah.
So, any other events? I don't know. Any other events coming up for you, or is Vegas kind of? I know for a lot of people, that's probably.
Vegas is it for me for the rest of the year. I'm brokety broke, but I was extremely lucky that a family member of mine won the lottery and was like, here's money. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Paid for the hotel room. Then my boyfriend turns around, looks at me, and he goes, I have miles. We could go together. He doesn't play Magic, and he's not coming to the con.
That's I go with a buddy, and he works, and he goes, if you're gonna go out and do Magic Creator stuff, that's cool. If not, we'll go get dinner and whatever.
Yeah.
Because usually when I go, like, I still don't, talk about being a small creator. Like, I know some people, like, I'm friends with some people, but like, they kind of have their own things they do.
Yeah.
So I don't really. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go. It's like I do my thing at the convention, and I go hang out with him, and then it's
yeah,
it's a fun time. So
cool.
All right, well,
There's
Vegas
that.
on Vegas, yeah, that's great though. I mean, I'm glad you get a chance to come out. I think it's gonna be a pretty big event for a lot of people.
I'm excited.
Vegas tends to be a pretty big draw. So I'm pretty excited too because I was there last year at Magic, whatever they call it, Magic 30.
Yeah.
Which was kind of the first convention they did celebrating. Yeah. So I think they've kind of learned some stuff since then. I've ironed out.
Seems like they did.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything. I just know what I heard.
Yeah. So excited to see that. And it was, I will say this. So Magic 30 for whatever faults it did have, like, looked amazing. The cosplay caves are really cool. Game Nights Live is like a phenomenal event to watch. Like, it's crazy. Like, if you were to tell me you're gonna have an audience of people cheering, watching people play Commander on big TV screens,
I know, right?
It's like it's
really,
yeah,
interesting. No, it's awesome. That's so great.
That but game. I mean, those guys. That team.
They're awesome. They're awesome.
I mean, they are good at what they do. That is for sure. So. Very cool. Well, I want to just to kind of thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Of course.
So before we kind of wrap it up, there's a few things. So what I like to do a lot of times with my guests is I have them kind of pick a organization or charity to make a donation to, and you picked Able Gamers, which is I had never heard of them, so I looked them up. Very cool. Looks like they use video games to enable social experience for people with disabilities, which sounds like a fantastic kind of cause to support.
And as someone who's disabled enough to kind of be stuck in my house often and most of the time, I know what gaming has done for me in terms of being able to access and reach community. And it can be very, very lonely otherwise. So video games are extremely healing.
They can be. And that's, again, it's nice to be able to kind of help contribute to, again, talking about building community and just making these these sort of things accessible for people. I think that's a very very noble cause. So we'll definitely be making a contribution to them for sure. And then also what I like to do is I'm just going to pop up what I like to call my community board. So I'm just going to go like this and it should pop up with that. So normally when I have my guests on, I talk about or one of the themes I say with the show is talk about building community and to be able to support my guests even after the show has ended. We're going to do something a little different this time just because I was watching things kind of reveal themselves over Twitter. So what I'd like to do, if you're okay with it, I would like to send you a quiver. Would that be something you'd be interested in? I know you were talking about I have a few quivers myself. I think they're fantastic. # not sponsored. I think they're
You're gonna
great.
make me cry.
It's just I saw you talk about it and like I think they're very cool. I think they're a very great way to just kind of organize your cards and I think
I love them.
So if that's okay, I'd like to be able to kind of we'll kind of
I'm actually terrible. stimming. Yeah, it'll be okay. Sorry, every time somebody's nice to me in this community, I have a panic attack.
It's hope. Well, I hope you have a lot of panic attacks then, because that's it's really like it's a very just small kind of gesture. So that's just again just a small way like that the show and tell show can again kind of continue to support you and all that you do outside of this sort of venue. So we'll get that. Because I do
feel real dorky running around with a massive backpack with only like 3 decks in there. It's pretty.
Yeah, it's again as someone I have a few bolts, but like just being able to stick a bunch of decks in something, and we'll get you some. I have Fibblethip stickers that I give out, so I'll give you some of those as well. So you can get those
please.
Decorated, so
we decided that if my boyfriend were a creature, any creature in Magic, he's Fibblethip.
Yeah. Okay,
he's Fibblethip.
We'll throw some extra stuff in there for him.
Him and I are Fibblethip and Babado, whatever his stupid fucking name is. I will never say his name correctly, so that's what he's getting.
The big one, the big Bori.
Big Cyclops and little Cyclops. Between the two of them, they're one person.
There you go. Perfect. So, we'll get that scored away, and again, B, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
This was fun. Yeah, definitely. And again, we'll link your stream and your YouTube. I can speak. We'll link your YouTube and all that kind of good stuff. And I'll look forward to hopefully getting to meet you in Vegas. That'll be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Sitting in your Tiny Bones costume.
Friendship incoming. This is a threat.
This is a threat. This is the threat of friendship. I
actually told someone once, a creator, Tron is bad. I asked him if he was going to Vegas. He's like, absolutely, because him and I had some discourse, and I was like, fuck yeah, friendship incoming. This is a threat. And then I randomly saw him at my LGS 4 miles from my house 2 weeks later.
Really? Oh, yeah, he's...
He moved here. I had no idea. We just got coffee the other day on a double date with his girl and my guy. It was great.
You willed it into existence.
Apparently.
Clearly, that's the real power of friendship.
And we got as well as I thought we were going to, which was great. So I'm like even more excited to meet people in Vegas after the last like year of communication with people.
It's definitely funny when you kind of meet these people through Twitter or playing over Spell Table or whatever, and then you actually kind of get to meet them in person, and it's like, oh wow, this is like nice. So awesome.
I'm always happy. I'm always excited to see how tall everybody is. I don't know what that's about.
Oh, how tall are you?
I'm 5'6". MTG Baron is 6'4". And there is a picture of me in 5-inch platform goth boots, still quite a bit shorter than him.
He's 6'4". Gosh, he looks tall.
He's 6'4". He's a tall boy.
He's a tall glass of water. I mean,
and such a sweetheart. Oh my god, I love him.
Yeah, he's
my god, he's so funny.
Looking forward to meeting. I think he'll be in Vegas too.
He'll be in Vegas.
I look forward to again.
He might actually be there with Ultimate Guard because he's sponsored. Shout out to my boy.
He's an ambassador too, right? I think
he's a Magic ambassador, but he's on the official Ultra Guard team.
Oh,
so he has a jersey and everything, which is cool.
Oh, jersey. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
So. Awesome.
I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of him.
Well, again, he's talking about. I know we're trying to wrap up, but talking about like someone who's like pretty big, very big on TikTok, but had a very small kind of like Twitter presence. Like it's nice.
He's big on Instagram though. He's big on Instagram.
It's funny how like these social media enclaves, how like sometimes they don't cross over as much as you think. But he's fantastic. I'm glad to see him he's been doing really well. So I'm glad to see that definitely. So awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
If you've made it to the end of the show, go find me on Twitter and Twitch and YouTube. And if you like what I do, feel free to subscribe. I'm on everything now. I've secured the name Show and Tell to you on Twitter, and YouTube, and Mastodon, and Blue Sky. And
Threads. You're so fancy. There's too many. I'm waiting for some to die so that I don't have to keep posting.
Yeah, I don't. Twitter's in a weird place. I don't think it's gonna die. I think the trick is as long as you keep curating your space, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Or Elon Musk gets bored and sells it and goes on to something else.
He's the worst.
Yeah. Anyways, that's everybody. Thanks again for coming on, and we'll see you all next time.